Harvey Elliott. Now, I'm sure many of you, like I was very excited when we signed the 22-year-old from Liverpool. I think he's a fantastic player. We got him on a great deal, right? Only 10 games to trigger an obligation for us to buy him, but just £35 million. It came at a point in our season where we were struggling beyond belief, and we all thought he was the type of creative player to come in and help Villa turn our fortunes around. But it hasn't quite worked out like that. He has had a run of games on the bench, getting 5-10 minutes here, being hooked at half-time, and Emery literally calling him out in post-match press conferences. So is this something to worry about? Just 5 games into his loan, is Emery not going to play him for the whole 10 games? Are we just going to see him on the bench as an unused sub for the rest of the season? Well, these are all things we are going to explore in today's video. And spoiler alert, I don't think we have to worry. I think Elliott will come good. So if you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe down below to the channel. Loads of Villa content coming your way. We're on the road up that side, above the Tielemans top. That's how many subs we're on. Can we boost this channel up to 4,000? I'll leave that in your capable hands. And if you do play FPL code above the Consa shirt to join my league. I think I'm in for a good week this week. When it comes back, I've made some decent transfers. I've transferred Watkins out. I ain't even going to lie to you. But let's have a little look. And I think to understand what's happening with Harvey Elliott right now, we're going to have to delve back into the signings that Emery has made for Villa and see this isn't the first time he's done this. So Emery's first transfer window for Villa, as you can see, he signed 2 players in the January 2023 window. Now, these 2 players were Alex Moreno, who, to be fair, did come into the team pretty quickly, but Digne was really out of favour with Emery at that point, and Moreno, clearly a player that Emery knew from his time managing in Spain. The second is probably the most famous example of Emery not wanting to chuck a player in until they fully brought in to his tactical philosophy, and that is John Duran. Clearly had the world of talent at his feet, but his attitude let him down, and not only that, I don't think he fully brought in to how Emery wanted him to play football. He was used as a super sub. We all know how good he was at that, but ultimately he was sold because he wasn't getting in over Watkins, who, as much as he's frustrating to watch and play up front, he does follow Emery's tactical philosophy quite to the T, and he plays how Emery wants him to play. So that's the first transfer window. You can already see a 50-50 record, but the next one highlights why Elliott's probably on the bench. And next up, I had to move out the way because this one's a bit bigger, is our summer 2023 transfer window. And you wouldn't be able to guess, looking at the transfer fees paid, which one of those became our most important player and won our player of the season. It's the free transfer in Youri Tielemans. But let's have a look at this, right? The 2 big money signings, yes, Diaby and Pau Torres came straight into the team. Diaby, a £55 million signing, clearly one that was liked very much. And Pau Torres is effectively Unai Emery's son. If you watch any interviews with the Villa lads behind the scenes, they'll all say the same thing. Brought in from Villarreal, had already managed him nearly a record amount of times. I think he's the second most capped player under Emery. But Youri Tielemans, let's have a look at Youri Tielemans. And I think this is probably what's happening with the Harvey Elliott sort of situation. And he has a bit of a theme of doing this with central midfielders. And that is, Tielemans didn't get it, right, straight away. I don't think Tielemans got it straight away. And let's not forget, Youri Tielemans had a horrid run with Villa in his first season. That first season, I'll throw the stats up on the screen above me, but he barely played for Villa. He barely played. He was on the bench. He couldn't get in the team over Kamara and Douglas Luiz. And he was thinking about leaving. There was a lot of rumours that Tielemans was going to leave due to lack of game time at Aston Villa. But guess what? He then got it. Emery started to believe in him, that he could play under Emery's tactical philosophy. And then he goes on to win our player of the season, play every single game, and pretty much played every single minute that he was available, bar one injury last season. And now we're missing him very, very dearly as he's out for another 5 weeks. And the 2 loan players barely got a sniff in as well, Zaniolo and Clement Longley. But that Tielemans one really highlights to me, I think, what's happening with Harvey Elliott. But it doesn't just stop here. Plethora of other players that I think are a perfect example of this. Luca Digne has played under Emery now for 3 years. I think he plays exactly how Unai Emery wants him to play. So it doesn't matter that we went and splashed 44 million on Ian Maatsen. He can barely still get a sniff. Starting to get a bit more now. Again, he's been there for about a year now. He's probably starting to understand how Emery wants him to play a bit better. And now he's starting to come into the team. But before, genuinely couldn't get a sniff over Luca Digne. Now, a couple other players that I've just got in front of me that I can call out right now. Ross Barkley, barely getting a sniff. Cameron Archer, Jaden Philogene Badace, Samuel Illing Jr. Obviously, they've gone out on loan. But young players, Jaden sort of got a couple of opportunities. But again, I don't think he bought into how Emery really wanted him to play. Shipped out. So, Donyell Marlon, another fantastic example. He's been at Villa now since the 14th of January 2025. So he's been at Villa, as I record this video, about 10 months. And he's only just starting to get some decent playing time. That, you know, because Emery likes his players to play exactly how he wants them to play. And if you don't, you're on the bench. Morgan Rogers, another perfect example. Barely got a sniff in. All of a sudden, I think he's one of those types of players where at training it just clicked. Emery saw it. He's playing how I want him to play. And now, even when he probably shouldn't be playing, he is. And Emery rewards that if you play the way that he wants you to. And you're important to the team. You work for the team. You're not lazy for the team. And you bought in 100%, which I think Rodgers did. I don't know whether he still has. But he definitely did at the start. But what about the comments that Emery's made about Harvey Elliott, right? Well, again, it ain't the first time. You can see on the screen, there's been loads of interviews that Morgan Rogers has done, and we're highlighting Rogers. That's why I highlighted him last, because Emery, when he first came to the club, called Rogers a championship player for about 2 months, according to all of the interviews that Rogers has done. Now, he might be sort of over-egging it a bit for the interview, to get the interview a bit more clicks or whatever. But I believe it. You could see it from Emery, right? I mean, he used to call out people left, right and centre. But to go round just calling Morgan Rogers a championship player for 2 months until he bought in, until he wanted him to play how he wanted to play, to push him to that next level. I think that Emery sees that next level in Harvey Elliott and he wants him to unlock it. And perhaps this is just a tactic to do that, right? Because let's be fair, I don't think Harvey Elliott's start at Villa has been as good as he would have wanted. And as you can see, I mean, this is his per 90 stats for Villa this season. Only 97 minutes played in the Premier League. But I think one thing that will stand out to me, and it stands out hopefully to you guys as well, is that pass accuracy of 83%. I think Emery is going to want more from him, you know. And the XA, expected assists, 0.06. Expected goals, 0.1. And he, to be fair to him, I know Emery said that he's passing the ball too quickly. He's moving it too quickly. But I kind of do agree. I think Elliott's probably come in trying to prove himself, trying to get that starting spot too quickly. And the stats don't back it up. But again, it's not all negative that Emery said about Elliott. He said he just needs time. He needs minutes. He needs time to adjust to how we want to play tactically. It's going to come. So look, what do I think? Do I think this Harvey Elliott loan is a bust already? Do I think he's only going to get 4 more games and we're going to see him back in a Liverpool shirt next season or being sold to someone else by Liverpool in the summer? Absolutely not. Look, and I know there's the dirt sheets that came out that said Emery was really pushing for Paqueta, didn't want Harvey Elliott. Maybe it was one of the reasons that eventually led to Monchi's departure from the club. But there's also a lot of people that say Emery has a fair amount of control over the incomings and outgoings of Aston Villa. So I don't really read too much into that. I think Harvey Elliott will come good for Villa. I think the obligation will be triggered very, very early on, probably before January. I think he'll probably play 5 more games before then. That's pretty much confirmed in my mind. Harvey Elliott's going to come good. Emery's going to get the best out of him. When Harvey Elliott buys into how Emery wants to play fully and he starts getting those minutes under his belt, the world's in trouble. But what do you think? Comment down below. And I'll see you tomorrow for an international villain roundup. Because I think we've got like 7 players playing tonight. It'll be an interesting one. Especially for Rodgers. And Onana if he plays.